Hey Nakama, this is Gomu Gomu It's Me. My name is Alden, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 1083, The World That Moves On, a new organization, Cross Guild. Let's get into this. So, we kick off the episode with Kinemon and Kiku running. They're sprinting, they're hauling ass. Kinemon's like, how did I let this happen? Referring more than likely to, when it went down with Admiral Greenbow, right? So we see Shinobu and Raizo drained. But the Mink doctors have said that Chopper gave them excellent care, so they're gonna be fine as long as they rest, right? So we pretty much knew everybody we lost up until this point in Wano. That's who we lost. Like, I don't think we're gonna get any more surprise additions, especially towards the end of the arc. So the Akazaya are recapping how poorly they did against the Navy Admiral. They were like, we were unprepared. We're not strong. It's like stuff like that, right? So a lot for them to chew on. So we see a flashback of the Admiral talking about Kaido and everything that happened, and basically saying that Kaido was a deterrent and people weren't coming to their island only because of Kaido. But now that Kaido's gone, they're gonna have to face people coming to try to take over their land like Kaido did. So they're trying to come to grips with what that means for them future wise, right? So we cut to Kinemon's wife, Otsuro, and Oku. I always get this name like messed up. Okubre town that had caught fire and was badly burned, but people seem to be in higher spirits, obviously because of everything that went down. So then we come back to the Akazaya, and Raizo starts speaking. He says that he wants to be popular too. Like, it's like another one of those in most anime, but especially in One Piece, where it's like a lighthearted, just a little throwaway thing that they like. Everybody laughs and smiles, and has a little, sweating expression and stuff. So that way it's a little lighthearted. So then we cut to Carrot, who's enjoying some Odin, sitting there saying how good Odin is in the land of Wano. And she's being called by Dogstorm and Cat Viper, right? So she's being called. And then we see, when she finally catches up to everybody, that all the minks have gathered around, right? We got, the Musketeer. Like, we got everybody. So Dogstorm asks Carrot, like, the way he asked this is so funny to me, but Dogstorm asks Carrot, why doesn't she become ruler of Mokomo Dukedom? And it's like, why do you ask that? Like, it's just regular. Like, it's just, why don't you do it? But she says yes without really realizing what she just said yes to. But then it starts to kick in. She's like, I'll do anything. Forgive me. I don't, this is not for me. I can't be the ruler. And the pair tell Carrot and the Minks that they decide to stay in Wano and be samurai for the Kozuki and basically protect Momonosuke, right? Because he's still, as cool as he looks and how big as he is and everything, he's still an 8-year-old. He's still that same little kid who was crying, I was about to say 2-3 weeks ago, but they've probably spent like a grand total of, since the raid and everything, like whatever. But he's still that same little kid, right? So they tell her that since she's traveled with the Straw Hats, she has something the others don't and can help the next generation of minks coming up, right? So she replies with, there are others who are stronger than her, To which the guards say, of course, but they're meant to protect the country, not run it. Which, like, goes into a lot of things I say that, like, some of the best, people in armies and stuff like that will never get promoted to where they need to, or where you would think their achievements would take them, because they're meant to protect. Like, everybody has a role to play. So we see Carrot in a state of deep thought when Wanda tells her that Carrot carries Pedro's will. And then we get a flashback of the boy Pedro just giving Carrot life lessons. Like, he was one of those people that if he was still alive, he would definitely be somebody like a Jinbei type who's always giving life lessons to everybody. So we come back to that, and then we see Cat Viper says that he's leaving his ode to the youngsters, that it's time for the new generation. You guys have taken everything they've said, incorporated it, and let's just see how y'all do. That's how countries and everything progresses. The older leave it to the younger, so on and so forth. So then we cut to Momo and Hiyori, and the Tengu mask is off. So that means that he's revealed himself. So I always get his name so messed up. That's why I just like to call him Tengu. But Sukiyaki apologizes for the fact that he couldn't face him, especially for what happened to Odin, how he wasn't able to prevent it. It's a very emotional moment for all three of them. They're all saying their sorries and apologies and just glad you're alive and such and such, such and such. So then we cut to Kinemon coping with the fact that the man in the Tengu mask was Sukiyaki, and him, just like the others, are just glad he's alive, right? So it's funny because he says, Sukiyaki says, you guys must have had your suspicions, or y'all must have like figured out it was me. And this is another Kinemon moment where everybody's like, yeah, we kind of figured, because I mean, who would wear a Tengu mask when there's no festival? And like Kinemon's like sweating, he's like, yeah, we all knew it. And just another one of those things. Like Kinemon is turning into like he's not turning into but like it's just funny how he walks backwards into success. So like they look at Kinemon like, right, we all knew, right? And he's like, yeah. So anyways, he tells the group not to mention that he's alive and that the new era is here to bring in the next era of Wano. The new bringing the next, right? He's just gonna retire. He's already been retired, and everybody thought he was in the long retirement. But he just says, he doesn't want to deal with, he doesn't want to deal with the off. Like, if he were to come back and reveal himself, everybody automatically, he's Shogun again. Everybody's gonna, romanticize what happened before. So they're gonna be like, no, everything was pretty good when you were Shogun. So be Shogun again. So he's leaving that up to Momo and Hiyori, right? Then we cut to Frankie finding out that Pluton is in the land of Wano. You know how all this stuff affects Frankie. So Robin is telling him and the rest of the group, right? Some reminiscing commences about the blueprints for Pluton, and then this lobby, Frankie destroying the blueprints and everything. Usopp's passed out as the others talk about Pluton and how dangerous it is. So Robin looks at Luffy and goes, hey, do you want Pluton? In typical Luffy fashion, he goes, no, I don't. He'll take every non-advantage he can get. He'll do whatever he can just to not have the best of everything. So it's just another reason why, he's kind of in the same vein as Goku. Like how Goku didn't want to fight he doesn't want to fight anybody that's already weakened. He'll give them a senzu bean. So, that's kind of Luffy's deal. So Shinobu surprises the group with Otama at her side. She's looking young. So, Brooke and Sanji are going goo goo gaga over, not realizing that that's the same woman they used to make fun of whenever she would say how attractive. Whatever. Tama says she's become an apprentice of Shinobu and wants to join Luffy. And Luffy, of course, and again, typical Luffy fashion, says, of course you can join, if you can use ninjutsu. He just wants you to, obviously, he wants you to bring something to the table, but, that's all you have to do. You have to, if Otama was almost as good as using ninjutsu as Shinobu was, she would be on the ship. There would be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just Luffy. But as the group talks, we see the return of wet-haired Caribou. I don't know if that's how you say his name. It's Caribou, Caribou, whatever. But he overheard that Pluton is on the land of Wano, right? He says he has to let that person know about this. Who is he referring to? Now, there's a couple theories out there. I'm not going to get into them. Maybe one day I'm going to make a One Piece theory list. Maybe this will be on it. Maybe it won't. But, I'll end up making that video. So we cut to a few days later. The flower capital is bustling. There's people smiling, children playing as Momo is overlooking the capital. I think he's just taking it all in, but then realizing how overwhelming this is to become somebody who has to care and take care of and, think about every single person in this, capital. So we hear the reconstruction plans have started, repurposing the weapons factory, the reservoir, all these things, right? And we see Momo start to struggle with being the shogun of the land of Wano, right? So then he hears, his father's voice go, Momo. And for some reason that kicks Momo into high gear, and he starts to run and look for Zoro to teach him some sword techniques, but the Straw Hats are gone. He looks for all the Straw Hats. Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, Frank, everybody. They're all gone. Apparently they said bye to everyone but Momo. So the only ones who didn't get a goodbye, as we come to find out literally 2 seconds later, are Momo and Kinemon. For some reason, they didn't get a goodbye. We see Yamato sitting atop of a building, just, I guess, contemplating things. We cut to the port, and the ships are docked and being loaded by all the crews, right? Now, Law, Luffy, Kid are arguing about setting sail at the same time. These three will find a way to argue about anything. Like, these three are going to end up being... They're going to end up being like brothers. Not in the sense of, like Ace and Sabo. But just in the fact that they want to argue about everything. Everything. Literally everything. Now they're fighting about setting sail at the exact same time when everybody's had the same time on the island. Like, somebody could have gone tomorrow. Somebody could go, somebody could have gone yesterday. Like, whatever. So Law says to, Luffy and Kid that they're enemies now. Which we know they aren't, but, it's something you got to say, I guess. But Luffy says he decided it was today, right? He was like, we're going today. So none of them are going to change the dates. So Kid suggests that they go in different directions. And the log post just so happens to be pointing in 3 different directions. So Log gets his direction. Kid and Luffy get theirs. But Luffy's upset. Luffy says he's an emperor of the sea, but lost a raffle. That pisses Kid off. Like, first and foremost, that's very out of character for Luffy. Like, when he's in normal... Like, I don't think he's ever going to mention the fact that he's the emperor of the sea when, Nami's, like, hitting him upside the head or Sanji's not giving him food. But around Kid, I feel like a different version of Luffy comes out in a sense. Because he's like, I'm an emperor of the sea. Why did I can't lose. So that pisses Kid off, though. So I think that might be, like, a little thing he does. But Kid says that nobody pisses him off more than, drumroll, Buggy. We see a poster with Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk with the name Cross Guild. So apparently, while the Straw Hats, Kid, and Law were in the land of Wano, a lot has happened in the world, and the world has changed in just a short amount of time. So we find out apparently Buggy has a company that puts bounties on Navy soldiers. Now, this is one of those things that I say that, not even just that I say, but people say, like, you don't have to be the world's strongest to be, an emperor or to be heavily, I guess, targeted by the government. Because Robin was a kid, but because of all the knowledge she had a big bounty at fucking, 8, 9 years old. So this kind of company that puts bounties on Navy soldiers is very, very harmful, obviously, to the world government. So that's one of the reasons, obviously, with having Mihawk and Crocodile looking like they're his underlings. Obviously, having those two components together makes him an emperor. If you have people like Buggy or like Crocodile and Mihawk, and you have a company that puts bounties on Navy soldiers, you're an emperor. I'm sorry. He already has the support of everybody from, from the Marineford arc and everything, after that, but it's basically the company that's really put him in the crosshairs of the world government to make him an emperor. So Law gives Kid a copy of the road poneglyphs. He says, y'all are entitled to these too. It'd be cheating, and cheating is no fun, right? So Kid mentions finding a man with a burn scar but has no leads, right? And he looks at Luffy, and Luffy's like, burn scar? And then Kid is like, oh, you don't know who it is? You have no leads? All right, that's even better. So now we cut back to Momo and Kin, and they're looking for Yamato. And we see Yamato sitting still on top of the building, calling out to Momo, like, I'm up here. So we find out Yamato has made a decision, right? Obviously, all this contemplating and sitting around. So Yamato says to go and see Luffy and the others and to live as Oden did. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. Is Yamato joining? Is Yamato going to stay in the land of Wano? I guess we'll find out. So, the preview had a bunch of stuff. It looked like it's just going to be another, like, even though this was supposed to be the end of, Wano, the next episode looks like it might be one more episode to the end of Wano. So, we'll find out. I think they might just be dragging it up so they can, get some more manga chapters. I couldn't think of that. Get some more manga chapters out there. So, anyways, that's the episode. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it. There was a lot of like fat. There was a lot of running around and this and that. Like there wasn't too much meat on the bones. So I'll probably give it like a 7.5. It's one of the weaker episodes, but at the end of arcs, it's usually weak episodes. Like the Buggy finding out that Crocodile, Mihawk, the Cross Guild, and everything, that really helped, I guess, with my rating, because if there wasn't something like that, it would probably be like a 5, maybe a 6. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, please comment, share, like, and subscribe. I always forget the order. Don't worry about it. Don't mind me. Be safe and well in your travels. Enjoy the journey, and just know I will be the king of YouTube. Peace.